Sigrun, welcome to the Woman Owned podcast.
Thank you for having me, Eleanor.
So, I'd like to get started by you sharing your woman owned story. How did you become a woman owner?
Well, I think even as a young girl, I kind of envisioned myself owning a business, but I never took the step to do it. So actually, I just studied. Then I went into corporate, and as luck will have it, I at age 34 I became CEO because I was in the right place at the right time, without business education, without business experience. But I asked for the job when I saw the potential and I got it. That's a whole episode in itself. So we're not
Exactly. I know we need to debrief that on a whole other episode for sure.
a whole other topic. Uh, but then after doing that for 10 years, quite successfully, really small businesses, not like
Mhm.
super big, but small businesses. And I found myself in Switzerland, where I had met my husband in London, and he was Swiss, and I moved to Switzerland to be with him. And I had found a job there, and I started to develop pain in my neck, shoulder, pinching ear pain. And one day I couldn't work anymore. And this was so opposite of like, it didn't fit my personality at all, not
No,
being
not at all.
work.
Yeah.
Like, just like, I want to work. But, in my brain, I didn't feel like a burnout. Like I was excited, but my body said no. And I was 7 months unable to work. Uh, and it does make you think. Like I couldn't sit on the computer for 10 minutes without getting pain. So I thought about, I was then, this is like I was 41, and it definitely made me think, like, what do I want to do with my life? Uh, I need to create a business around being healthy and taking care of myself. And also, I was living in Switzerland. I was missing my friends, missing my family in Iceland, and 20 days holiday. I know in some countries you only get 10, but in Switzerland you get 20. And I thought, this is so little. Like,
Yeah.
I want to split my time between two countries. 50-50 would be my ideal. So I started in my head to design a life that I wanted, not knowing what the business should be. So that was first, just the life I want. I want to take care of my health. I want to be with my family. And I want to be able to travel. And still, I was scared. So I did take the next job. Uh, but I could work from home. So I was like, oh, this is nice. That job was not good for me because I still had to take long drives to the customers and do some cold calling, which is the opposite of what I like to do. Uh, and I started to follow people online that were doing online businesses. And in 2013, I did a course. Didn't figure out what I wanted to do, but I was onto something. If there are women out there that can build a business by selling their knowledge, turning their passion into profits, then maybe I can do that too. So finally, I 1st of January 2014, I I decided this is it. I'm gonna be a business coach. Even though I thought like, oh, business coach, like people talk bad about coaches, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want to be one of those. But after looking at my 10 years of being a CEO, I was like, this is what I'm good at. So I
Yeah.
have to do that. Yeah.
Mentoring people and mentoring people to higher performance and to profitability and so on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. And our sort of timeline actually is roughly the same because that's when I had a business before, but that's when I really moved into like the business coaching space also, like business and leadership. So very cool. Okay, so when we were talking through, the nature of the case study that you were going to present here on the show, we talked about this concept of one of the key things that has driven your growth that has transformed you into a really well-recognized, respected, successful business coach for women entrepreneurs is has been your ability to successfully refine the ideal client. Now, this idea of know your ideal client is both fundamental, and basic and fundamental in terms of business growth. But what you have done is sort of as you've grown the business, there have been three core milestones in terms of how you have continued to refine that ideal client that have really propelled you to multiple seven-figure growth year over year, which is pretty impressive and an incredibly rare feat for women-owned businesses. So we're going to really talk through that. So I guess I would start by when you launched that business in 2014. So between 2014 and 2017, you were a business coach. We're going to start our sort of story at 2017 in terms of a major niche down refinement that you did. But paint us a picture of what you were doing up to 2017. Who were you working with? How did you define your ideal client? And how did you know that something was off in terms of you hadn't quite hit it on the head yet?
Yeah. I would say I started like so many without defining the ideal client. Although it's the one thing that probably you and I and every business coach or consultant out there tries to get their clients to do, and still they don't do it. So I probably
Yeah.
didn't do that either. And I was doing what I call spaghetti marketing for 9 months
Mm,
before I actually decided to hire a business coach myself. Because of my experience, and I had an MBA, I'd been 10 years a CEO, I don't need any help. I tried to do this online business thing on my own until I realized this was not sustainable because I made like $17,000 in 9 months. And I was like, I, I can't believe this is it.
yeah.
So I did hire a business coach, and I learned about launching, sales and marketing, all this. And it quickly, like, it didn't take much. In a
Yeah.
couple of weeks, I kind of got it. And uh, that process, like, I hired this business coach and I wanted to learn how to launch. I knew I would love it
Yeah.
because I'm from Iceland. We like fishing. If there's no fish in the sea, we don't fish. But if there's fish in the sea, we fish. So we're kind of like over generations, like we go and grab opportunities, but if there are no opportunities, we're fine with that too.
Yeah.
Even the financial crisis was not really a crisis in Iceland because we're so used to crisis. So I knew I would love launching. I do this webinar, I get 600 people signed up, and then one person buys. I refund the person because I'm not going to run a program with one person. And then my business coach, the one who taught me the launching part, he had actually tried to stop me from selling a program. He said I should just sell 101. He said, now you're going to talk to people. You need to talk to people. And I had avoided, probably at all costs. You go into online business, and so many people avoid talking to people.
Yeah.
Uh, I offered free online business strategy sessions, uh, and 90 people booked. And for the next 3 weeks, I was busy. And this was probably the first time I understood who is on my email list and what do they want. And
Mm.
I shouldn't have waited so long. I shouldn't wait for a failed launch to actually talk to people. But by talking to people, they wanted to buy from me.
And question here, because this is, I mean, I absolutely love what you've shared. It is so simple, it's so effective. And I think you're also acknowledging that there can often be so much resistance to do some of this like belly to belly, hand to hand combat style, like really getting in there and working with people. So these 90 sessions, like how long were they?
They
30
were
minutes,
30
an hour?
minutes. They were 30 minutes,
Yeah.
and it was just I was going to solve one problem or one challenge for them.
Yeah.
And I was going to assess in the call, this is the guidelines from my coach at the time, is this person interested in working with me? And if so, I'll ask if I can make an offer. So I had a script. I was super nervous
Yeah.
in the first calls, and I just followed my script. I had it in front of me. And after 3 calls, I just tried to be more and more me and less scripted. And just figuring out, okay, what's your biggest challenge right now? Can I help you solve it? And would you like to know how you could work with me? It became a very normal, simple conversation. And I'm like, why didn't I do this 9 months ago? Why didn't I start my business doing this? I would have saved so much time and made much more money.
Yeah.
And so I made $27,000 in 4 weeks because
Oh,
I did
come on. Which is like, we'll have to do the math after, but you went from 17 in 9 months
9 months.
to 27 in 4 weeks.
Yes.
I like that math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Very
from there,
cool.
I did one-on-one coaching for a year or so before I was like, okay, how can I scale? And then I
Yeah.
started to go into group coaching. And then I started to have lots of groups.
Yeah.
And then I'm finding myself in the year 2017 in January. I am now working with a new coach. I'm in a mastermind, so it's not one-on-one coaching.
Yeah.
And I come to the first mastermind call very excited because I've just sold out all my group coaching program for the year, six group coaching programs, and made $230,000 as a result. And I'm like ecstatic, like this is like I feel I'm the champion here. And the coach asks, like, does anyone have something to share, a success or a win before we start into going into the actual hot seats? And I'm like, yeah, me. And I share, hey, I sold out all my group programs. And instead of congratulating me, which I was totally expecting, he said, and you've got nothing else to sell for the rest of the year? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
And this was when I created, I would say this was probably on a Thursday. The following Wednesday, I had a webinar that was already kind of in the works because I like to share my launches. Like I would
Yeah.
say, I would tell people, I'm very much of a teacher. I do
Yeah.
something and I just want to teach the next week what I did last week.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is what my audience loved, especially in those first years. And I was going to share everything about that launch of selling out the group programs. And now I was like, I need to sell something. I need to come up with a program, a scalable program, something that is not another group coaching program. And this is where I came up with a program. I just called it Somba, Sigrun's online MBA. It was something just like, oh,
Yeah.
I need to come up with a name. And I have it trademarked. I have the domain. I bought the domain. Uh, and I sold 50 spots for a program that didn't exist. It was called, I called it the inaugural class. So 50 people paid me $1,000 for a program that didn't exist. It was just like, here's my idea, jump in. And I created a 12-month online business program. And I created the step by step. So they always had to wait for the next module.
Yeah.
And I was so proud to have this scalable program. And
Yeah.
this is what 2017 was the year I made my first $1 million revenue.
Come on. So you made this program. So this is a really cool, so you sort of overcome or you hit this first milestone where you talk to 90 clients, do these 90, strategy sessions. And that's where the revenue really starts to flow. And so you're working with them one-on-one, then you're starting to work with them in group coaching programs, and then you receive a challenge from your coach. Hey, can you create something that's actually truly scalable? Which you do, which is Samba. So this is
Yeah.
2017. Now, walk us through, because that experience of really running this 12-month program for the first time, this experience actually led you to the second milestone in ideal client refinement. Can you walk us through what happened there and what was the thing that caused you to refine even harder?
So I was just so proud of this program. It was something I had even envisioned for years until I actually created it. And I felt it was what my audience wanted. They seemed to be excited. They bought the program from me. I made hundreds and thousands of dollars just in the first year. Second year, January 2018, I had a launch that was $480,000
Oh, come
for
on.
this program.
Let's get it.
I was like, oh, I'm going to make millions with this program. But then in May 2018, so 1.5 years into this program, I start to get this odd feeling of like, why are not more people sharing success stories in the program? I did have lots of success stories, and of course, but the proportions weren't correct for me, and I started to kind of Google like what are the completion rates or success rates in online courses, and I read that's anywhere between 10 and 15%.
Mm.
And I'm like, huh? Really? People buy an online course and they don't finish it? Like,
Yeah.
it was foreign to me. Like, you have to finish what you start. Although I know it's hard, but I just like, from me, I have 4 master's degrees.
Yeah.
You know, you, you finish what you
You're
start,
a
even if
finisher.
you're no longer excited about the degree. I finished the architecture degree, even though I knew 2 years before I was not going to work as an architect. So I guess it was just one of my values, like you finish what you start.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. And I said, I think I'm having the same kind of completion rates in my program. And that was shocking to me. I'm like, oh, have I failed as a teacher? Like, why are people not watching all these wonderful modules? And each module was like a course in itself. So I had like 12 courses included in a 12-month program. And why are they not doing it?
And at the
And I
time,
realized,
you were really known for that, I think.
yeah,
At the time, you were really known for um, thoroughness and comprehensiveness in that you were really going to make sure that when people came into your world, you were providing them with a complete picture.
yeah,
And
it
I
was,
think, right, which
yeah,
is, yeah,
it was supposed to be a 12-month online business program, and you know everything about online business. You know about launches, automated funnels, ideal client, how to write a book. Like, it was
yeah,
kind of everything in one program. And I realized my ideal client maybe isn't me. Maybe I have been, maybe I've been assuming they are me, and they are not doing an MBA. Like, they're not going to sit down every day for 2 hours and do their homework. They have lots of other priorities in their life, and the stamina of a 12-month program is just massive. And The initial excitement wears off fast. Like, you're excited when you buy a program, but if you checked in with them 6 months later, they're gone. They're doing something else. Maybe they bought another program. They moved
yeah,
on. And I'm realizing all of this in May 2018, 1.5 years into the program, and I get super frustrated. First, I'm frustrated with the clients, with the students, and then I start to be frustrated with myself. And when I get frustrated with myself, actually, I get my best ideas.
yeah, same.
I'm like, I just need to, we just need a boot camp. I need to get them. Another thing that was frustrating me is a lot of women take completely off in the summer.
Yes.
It was May, and my worry was that these women would come back in September into my program and they've not made any progress. And how can I get them to do something in the summer that will give them the feeling that they can move on, that they don't give up on their dream of online business?
Yeah.
I was most worried about that. They would just give up on their dream.
Hmm.
And I thought, what can I have them do, like tangible, that gives them this feeling of like, oh, I've actually created something that is solid. Like, they've not built a car, but the feeling was like they've created an asset in their business.
Yeah.
And the best thing was, of course, yeah, get them to create a course. I'll do a boot camp, and they create a course. And I didn't tell them. I just announced in the program, this is only going out to the students. So I think I had like 250 students in this program at the time. And I said to them, Samba Summer School is coming. Samba Summer School is coming. And I didn't tell him what it was. And they had to sign up for free
Yeah.
without knowing what it was. But I created this excitement of, you want to be a part of it, like
Yeah.
FOMO, fear of missing out. So you have to
Yeah.
be a part of it. I got 50% to commit to the boot camp in the summer, where they normally, uh, take the
Yeah.
time off. And I didn't even realize what I was going to do with them. I said, okay, I'm going to create a course, but just the actually how it's going to look like, I was creating that on the go. But I realized a couple of things about my client is that they're overwhelmed. I had created a monster program. I
Mm.
loved the program. I
Yeah.
loved what I had created. It was costing me a lot of time and energy, but I realized it was too much. I was not giving them a path. They had all these options. And my ideal client, it's not good for them to have so many options.
Yeah.
It helps them to know what to do and be told what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And I completely went, they were still in the big program,
Yeah.
but in the boot camp, I created like a sub program. And every week I tell them, this is what you're going to do. And they had my videos were super short, very little information, but they just had to do that this week and nothing else. Don't look at anything else. And then next week and next week and next week. And they actually were creating the course while we were running the program. So a lot of online course programs teach you how to create a course, and then you have to go and do it afterwards, after you've
Yeah.
learned it. And I realized that's also another problem they have. They're
Yeah.
not going to do it.
Yes.
So accountability became a huge thing. So very little content, massive accountability, deadlines. They had to submit a form at every second week to me that they're actually doing the work. And if they were not submitting the form, I went all crazy in the Facebook
Yeah.
group, like, who is not submit the form? And I'm like, still, I mean, and it became like, I was really like a cheerleader and just pushing it. And I was doing this all on my own.
Yeah.
I was quite tired after it, but it was so worth it. We had a 90% completion rate. And I was like, this is it. Wow, this is how I need to do it because my ideal client needs to be told what to do in the beginning. Now, these women who did the program 2018, I just need to add, they grow up from the having to be told what to do.
Yes.
It's just in the beginning while you're learning the ropes of online business. I have them making $1 million today, and they have a team, and I don't need to tell them what to do. They do.
Yeah.
So it's not like all women need to be told what to do all their lives. It's just
No.
when you're learning something brand new, and you just don't know where to go, what to do next. This is what you need, and this is what I found out.
Well, it sounds like what happened was, so in this initial sort of milestone, when you did the 90 interviews, you kind of realized, okay, this is who they are. And in the second refinement, it was this is actually the precise stage of development they are in. And at this stage of the development, this is how we need to approach the work. So it's like same woman, but where the second milestone, it sounds to me like where you actually, the refinement was less about the who and the
Yeah.
more about what stage they were at. Therefore, what do they need to create the success that you wanted to see and that they invested to get in the first place. Is that fair?
Yes, that is
Yeah.
a very fair description. And then it's almost like you go from, yeah, let's call this middle school. You go
Yeah.
then into high school and university in my programs because I don't want to have my clients like constantly knowing from me what to do next. It's just
Yeah.
the initial phase where you're so lost and you just like, how do I get to, I would say maybe even to the six figures, like
Yeah.
how do I do this? And
Yeah.
there's so too many options and it's so easy to get overwhelmed. And I was like, I'm onto something. And then I was quite tired after the summer, but so proud, so proud.
Yeah.
I knew I was onto something, but I was not ready to change my whole business because of it
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
But a year later, May 2019, I started getting emails and messages. Are you doing it again? And it turns out that some people had bought the 12-month program just to get in the boot camp. And I'm like, okay, I remembered how exhausted I was. So I sent out an email to all former students and said, who wants to volunteer? I got 40 applications for volunteering. And I took 20.
Yep.
And they just wanted to help me.
Mm.
And again, now we had the double amount of people, 250. Again, 90% completion rate. And I remember coming to a mastermind session after the second boot camp, the second summer, and everyone was like telling me that I had to change my program. I was like, oh, I thought the 12-month program was it. It was so hard to realize
Yes.
that something you created is not it, but it's
Yeah.
the part of business that not everything works out perfectly. And you read about companies that have created a car and it's not the thing, it's
Yeah.
it's to any business.
Yeah.
And I was able to turn a 12-month program just in a membership in the beginning, so I didn't close it completely, but I started to then sell the 8-week program. Actually became 12 weeks.
Yeah.
And this is really my main program today. It generates 2/3 of my revenue.
And this is Kickstart. This
Yeah.
is known today as Kickstart. So this is fascinating. So let's walk through kind of the impact that it has as much as you feel comfortable sharing. So basically, the first thing that happened as you launched the very first iteration of Kickstart is that you see a significant shift in terms of completion rates because
Yes.
you've made the shift of refining the developmental stage that the entrepreneur is in when she does this program, and therefore exactly what she needs and the best way to serve her. How would you quantify the impact that that had on your business? Like what can you share? So it's now 2/3 of your revenue, but like, can you sort of, what are you comfortable sharing in terms of the impact that the shift, because this is like the refinement even more, and you go from a 12-month to a 12-week.
Yeah.
Anything else that you can share about what's different or the impact that it's had on the business?
I would really say that that was a complete shift. I was having multiple different programs, and they were
Yeah.
generating, let's say, in some ways similar
Yeah.
revenues. I was still doing one-on-one. I
Hmm.
wanted to stop that. I was still doing group coaching programs. And by actually going from a 12-month program to 12 weeks, getting super clear on the message. I think that was definitely a problem in the beginning when I was trying to sell a 12-month program.
Yeah.
When you sell something like all in one, it has all your solutions, it's very hard to measure. It doesn't
Yeah.
speak so well to the ideal client. And when you think you're doing your business a disservice, but actually you are making it easier for your business to go out in the market. And Kickstart works for the absolute beginner, but we also have people coming in at six figures who just haven't scaled up, just like
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I had a
Yes.
$300,000 business, but it wasn't scalable. So, uh, but we're messaging like it's time to scale up your business. Try to kind of, go from selling your time to selling value. So that's where we kind of honed in on the message. And we were not confusing it with, oh, you're also going to learn how to write a book and all
Yeah.
that other stuff. So it definitely, and when your messaging is clearer in the market, you attract more people
Yeah.
and it's easier to attract those people.
Yeah.
And uh, my launches went from being 500,000 to 2 million.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Significant. That no, that's helpful. And I appreciate that because, it's always, I think when we're talking about strategies, it's always helpful to know like what was the actual impact, in terms of was it incremental or was it exponential? And it sounds like this was something that was actually quite exponential. Now, there's a third milestone. And this third milestone is really has, so if we think first it's the who, then it's the what developmental stage. There's a third milestone that your business has gone through that has been more recent in terms of how, again, like refining that ideal client. Can you walk us through what this third milestone of refinement has been?
Yeah. I had a dream for a long time. I think actually the dream was since I was 6 years old to write a book. And what did I do? I never wrote a book. Uh, and I always would say, and I like to make public commitments because I tend to stick to them.
Yeah.
But the book writing was one of those where I would say I would write a book and I didn't do it. And
You
it's a
really
bit,
did, you wanted and really didn't want to do it.
yeah, yes. It's like wanting, but doing it is the hard part, like sitting
Yeah.
down and writing. And I had to eat my own dog food, as you say. Like I had to hire a coach, just like other people need to hire me.
Yeah.
And I finally hired a book writing coach in 2021. And she has the strategy. Like I wanted to write a book first, like, oh, self-made women, like how do women make 6 and 7 figures? And she was like, let's narrow it down, let's niche it down. And since you have this successful program, Kickstart, this is what you should write about. And the more I thought about it, first I was like, nah, I'm not
Mm.
so sure, because I saw other women publish these amazing books and become bestsellers. Why should I write a little narrow book? But she was right. Like,
Mm.
uh, it was actually in hindsight
Yeah.
easy to write. It was just hard to get started.
Totally.
Uh, and the first thing she had me do was to do an ideal reader description. And I was like, so resistant to it. I'm like, I know who this person is. Why do I not just copy paste whatever document I have since whatever year I wrote it down? But I wanted to be a good student. I decided when I made this investment and having a book writing coach that I was going to do all the exercises. And so sitting down and really thinking about who is this person before they read my book and before they do my course. So I started to think of a new path. So before they do the course, they read the book. Who are they before that? And I hadn't really, when we do the ideal client exercise, I don't know, I had not really thought like the who before so
Yeah.
much. And even doing that exercise with a coach, I came up with a new exercise for my clients. And I said, you imagine your ideal client 5 years before they come your ideal client. It became a new exercise in my programs. It's
Mm.
like, what has led them to be in that spot? And when I think about my own development, I got sick and lost my job before I got sick. And there are a couple of years until I start my business. But this is very important in my path
Yes.
because it made me want this business so much and the lifestyle it can bring. And if you skip that and just start like 1 week before I buy a program, that's not really the whole story. So I started to think much deeper about more it was still the same who, but what has led her to want this. And it's of course good when you've been in business for a while and you can take actual stories. So one of my clients is a scientist. She comes from bioscience. She has a PhD. She was on the path to possibly become a professor, but then she has a child, and the science community does not support women who cannot work 150% and write the next thesis.
Yeah.
And so she dropped out of that community and started to write for companies. And then she's busy doing that, but it generates so little revenue. She's only making 20,000 a year writing and writing and writing for companies. And then she comes across my Kickstart course or Kickstart,
Mhm.
and oh, maybe I can create a course and have more revenue, and I'm not selling my time.
Yeah. Amazing. So when you look at that, is it that, so if the first milestone is who, the second milestone is really the stage of development. And then the third milestone is continuing to refine the product and the offering to serve. And so we've got this book, which does kind of speak to them even before they make an investment to come into the program. But you also started to make some investments in software. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about this because this is sort of classic Sigrun. You're just so strategic about things. Can you walk us through like where that, like, tell us a little bit about a significant shift that you've made in terms of how your offer is delivered, and how that connects to this idea of refining your ideal client?
Yeah, as a background, I did study computer science, although I have never programmed software.
You
And
studied everything. You see, what?
what did I not study? I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I ran a software company, and that made me interested in learning about software. Um, and I could feel or sense that at some point software would help. I was just thinking, how can I help my clients better if I
Yeah.
actually had a solution
Yeah.
for them? And I think it's just starting to get frustrating over the years. I said everything that's frustrating, that's actually a positive. Like if I'm frustrated, I'll
Yeah.
come up with ideas. And I create this Kickstart program. And because we are really hands on the program, like we teach people privacy policy and like everything they need to create that thing. So it includes picking software and learning how to send a newsletter. And we have people that have email lists and don't need that help, but we have then also the beginners who don't have that
Yeah.
yet. And it was starting to cost them too much money and frustrating to get the data to talk to each other. Like just teaching Zapier, which is this tool that takes data from one software to another. And this was taking up, if you looked at the Facebook group and what questions people are asking, it was taking time away from the actual content that I want to teach, like
Yeah.
focusing on your ideal client,
Yeah.
promoting the course. And they are figuring out software. I'm like, I need to solve this. Like, and I was like, okay, I don't want to build software. But I finally found a software solution last year that I could license. So I can put my own name on it, I can put my own templates into it, and I can create a whole workflow. So basically, it becomes a plug and play, and they do not need any other software. It's all there, everything they need for the course. And there was resistance in the team. I started to talk about it probably mid last year, and people were not excited.
Mm.
And I was like, if we don't do this, we lose out in the like. I want to keep the edge. Like I want to be
Yeah.
one of the first. And I was not the first. I saw a couple of other kind of. I saw it pop up,
Mhm.
and I was like, if we don't do it now, and my Kickstart program only runs once a year, I'm delaying it by a whole year. And this was a big thing for me
Yeah.
that I take this decision. And yes, we had October, November, and still the final decision was not made. And then I just said, I
We're
have to
doing
decide
it.
team. We're doing it. We're doing it. Whether you like it or not, we're doing it. I am absolutely convinced that this is what we need for our students. And I got the person that I have a program manager for Kickstart, and she was willing to take it on, skeptical, but willing to take it on. And I must say, I don't really believe in luck, but there's luck. I was lucky that she is tech savvy.
Mm.
She's not a, she's a copywriter originally, but she's tech savvy, and her skepticism started to fade away because the software is so good.
Mm.
Uh, and she went all in, and now she is even certified in the software, one of the few in Europe. Uh, she I'm lucky that she was there. Like if it would have been another person, I don't know how it would have gone, but it was definitely not easy. Software
Yeah.
is very easy. There are bugs and all, it's just
Yeah.
like yeah. But it's the attitude on the team. I just had a call earlier today where my clients were uh, thanking the team for their dedication to support them with the software.
Mm.
And I was just like, I'm so blessed that there are team members that went all in. And now it's as if nobody was ever against it because they're all for it. And we're training more and more people on the team to support our clients with the software. It was absolutely the right decision. We had hiccups on the way. Definitely, there were several hiccups. But now I'm so glad we did. We have now 300 active users, and it's been slow onboarding. I've
Mhm.
decided not to blast it. Like I
Yeah.
think many of my email lists don't even know that we sell software.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's just that if you bought a program with us, like Kickstart, you get a trial that lasts as long as the program. which was only possible because I licensed the software. If I would have used any other software out there, they would give you max 30-day trial.
Yeah.
But this was my value. Like, I did
Yeah.
not want them to pay anything else.
Yeah.
It's super important for some of my clients.
Mhm.
That's the ideal client again.
Yeah.
If you ask them to pay more, and I've just sold them a program, it kind of gives a negative
Yeah.
feeling. So that I could do a 90-day trial and then first they have to pay once they know they want to use it
Yeah.
was super important for me. And it's changed the business models. Now I'm learning how to run a SaaS business.
Well, yeah, it's a big fundamental change,
Yeah,
big fundamental change in the business from, again, anchored in that boring old exercise that people don't want to do, which
yeah.
is, it seems so simple, it seems so basic. And I would like to kind of outline, right, that um, I have this conversation with folks, especially if you're an established business owner, you're already doing six figures or multiple six figures. And one of the things that can happen is that you think you know who they are. And
Mhm.
so you have these, you're so used to working with them, you think you know who they are, rather than actually sitting down and going through some of the data, going through some of the analysis, and see who they actually are now. It's kind of like in relationships. If you've been, like your childhood best friend, sometimes you don't see that this person has changed.
Yeah.
They're a different person, even though they're sort of the same. So I love that, I love how this commitment to doing that has led to such innovation, inside your company, and obviously is a huge piece of innovation, sort of unlocking the future of the growth of the company.
Well, if you think about it, selling courses is like a
Yeah.
one-off thing. And then I've had 4,000 people go through Kickstart.
Yeah.
Imagine I had a software all the time. I would have probably 1,000 active
Yeah.
subscribers instantly.
Yeah.
And now we have to work for it. And maybe some people come back. Actually, it's
Yeah.
interesting. Uh, my high-end clients who are making $1 million, they were kind of like ignoring the software. And then we did a retreat in June, and I'm just talking a little bit about the software. They get a little bit interesting. Can we get a presentation? And then my program manager says, "Oh, I can do a presentation for your mastermind." And now 3 people are moving over. And I was like, they were
Amazing.
ignoring it. Oh, it's for the beginners. It's the Kickstart
Yeah.
software. And now they realize, oh, I could save so much money and
Yeah.
have everything in one software. And I'm like, yeah. So I do think and they maybe move on. People are many years in my mastermind, but
Yeah.
when they leave, by staying in the software, I have them in my membership.
Yeah.
That's what I decided as well. I decided I'm not just selling software, I'm selling you a membership. So it's
Yeah.
just one. And then all these people that I'm helping, we stay in touch for years.
Yeah.
And it's going to be easier to go back to also see, okay, you did Kickstart in 2020. Where are you today? I
Yeah.
would actually like to know. As a
A
business coach,
hundred
I like,
percent.
yeah,
Well, this is where longitudinal studies are made from,
yeah.
the ability to continuously monitor change over time, which is really powerful, because a lot of the changes that they'd be making through the program, it's like you change the course, but over time, that's where you really see the impact, the long-term impact of what that change was, the compounding effect. I could talk to you all day about this, but uh I just want to acknowledge how much I appreciate, you walking through this story, and really taking a very fundamental, powerful concept that so many of us talk about and we know inherently to be important, but really showing it how you have applied it in an advanced way to inform the growth strategy and success and scale of your company. I really appreciate it.
I just think everyone listening, you should just ask yourself this question. Uh, what is the challenge that your client is having? Like, even in your program, I think it's so important to keep on asking yourself that question.
Yeah.
And I saw the software challenge being a big one. Now I'm going to keep on watching. I don't know what I will discover next, but there is always something that we can help them with more. And if you don't provide it, someone else will.
Someone else will. What's the best place to go next? We'll put everything in our show notes, but what's the best place for people to go next who want to learn more about you, follow along with you, hire you? Where should they go?
Well, my website is sigrun.com. I'm glad I bought that
Oh,
99.
come on, I know. Let's go. So smart.
And I am on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook all the time with Sigrun.com, one word name. There are too many Sigruns in Iceland, although it's maybe not a unique name in the world, pretty unique in the world. Yeah, but I have the book. Normally, I sell the book, but I would like to give your listeners free access to the book. So we have created a link, sigrun.com/woman owned.
Beautiful. Sigrun.com/woman owned. We'll put that in the show notes as well. Sigrun, I so appreciate you, have tons of respect for you. Thank you for coming on the show to share your wisdom with us.